Pillsbury is a trusted name in baking, but even the best brands can slip up. And when it comes to cookies and E. coli, it's definitely a recipe for disaster. If you ever doubted Pillsbury's influence, remember that between 1979 and 2001, it also owned Green Giant. So, when Green Giant faced a quality issue with its cut-leaf spinach in 1995, it was Pillsbury's responsibility to handle the fallout.
We hate spinach. Hate spinach? You has to eat it to get health, strength, and vitality.
In June 1995, a consumer in Connecticut discovered fly larvae in a box of Green Giant spinach, prompting the FDA to take immediate action. Investigators tested spinach from the supplier's warehouse and found it contaminated with both fly larvae and rodent particles. Initially, Pillsbury issued a nationwide recall for 2 specific production codes of Green Giant cut-leaf spinach and butter sauce. However, this was just the start. The recall quickly expanded to include over 24 production codes, affecting both boxed and bagged spinach. Among the recalled products were 16-ounce bags of Green Giant pasta accents, Florentine, and various cuts of spinach, all sourced from the same tainted batch that had reached Connecticut. In 1998, Pillsbury recalled nearly 9,000 cases of refrigerated chocolate chip cookie dough due to a labeling error. A manufacturing mistake led to packages of chocolate chip dough being incorrectly filled with walnut dough instead.
Pillsbury chocolate chip cookies. Hey, you can play with our food.
What seemed like a simple labeling error turned into a serious issue for Pillsbury in 1998. Walnuts, classified as a major allergen by the FDA, were accidentally placed in chocolate chip cookie dough packages, which lacked proper warning labels. For individuals with severe tree nut allergies, consuming walnuts can trigger anaphylactic shock, a potentially fatal reaction. The recall was announced on September 8, 1998, and expanded shortly after, but fortunately, no illnesses were reported. However, Pillsbury's dough troubles didn't end there. In September 2014, the company recalled its refrigerated biscuit flaky layers and buttermilk biscuits. The problem arose when buttermilk biscuits, which were individually wrapped, mistakenly ended up in the biscuit flaky layers 4-pack packaging. Although the individual wrappers correctly listed ingredients, the 4-pack didn't include a milk warning. This recall affected 720 cases, but like the earlier incident, no illnesses were reported from the mix-up. In 2002, Pillsbury issued a voluntary recall of its chocolate chip muffin mix across 12 states after it was discovered that some packages contained milk-based chocolate chips, which were not labeled as such. Normally, the mix uses semi-sweet, dairy-free chips, making the error especially concerning for those with milk allergies. Rather than wait for the FDA to intervene, Pillsbury acted quickly, recalling 753 cases of the affected product. By removing the mislabeled mix from store shelves, the company prevented potential allergic reactions. Fortunately, no illnesses were reported in connection with the recall. Pillsbury's prompt response helped protect consumers from health risks due to the mix-up. When you think of Pillsbury, cakes, biscuits, and rolls come to mind, foods that all start with one key ingredient: flour.
Isn't this the instant you've been waiting for? New Pillsbury Instant Blending Flour.
Flour is the foundation on which Pillsbury was built. Established in 1869 as a flour miller, the company's identity has always been tied to its core product. However, in 2019, a series of flour-related recalls threatened to shake the brand's long-standing reputation. In March of that year, a random inspection found traces of salmonella in a single bag of Pillsbury all-purpose flour. This led to a recall of 2 lots, which had already been distributed to major grocery chains like Publix and Winn-Dixie. But the situation worsened just 2 months later. The ADM Milling Company, a major supplier to Pillsbury, issued a recall for all-purpose flour due to E. coli contamination. Pillsbury's flour was included in the multi-brand recall, which affected over 16.5 million pounds of flour nationwide. Then, in June 2019, another recall followed, this time for 185,000 pounds of Pillsbury Best Bread flour, also due to the risk of E. coli contamination. The outbreak was linked to ADM's Buffalo, New York facility, one of the world's largest grain processing plants. While the source of the contamination was traced back to wheat milled there, the exact origin of the bacteria was never definitively confirmed. The recalls highlighted the vulnerability of the domestic flour industry, impacting multiple brands across the nation. Pillsbury's recent history has been marked by a series of recalls, and the company's troubles didn't end in 2019. After things settled with the flour recall, Pillsbury returned to business as usual until May 2021, when a new issue arose involving the U.S. Armed Forces. The Defense Commissary Agency, which oversees food supply to military personnel, filed a complaint against Pillsbury's parent company, General Mills, regarding its refrigerated pie crust. The issue wasn't related to food safety concerns, but rather the product's off flavor, which led to dissatisfaction in commissary kitchens and stores. Although no pathogens were suspected, the flavor problem failed to meet the agency's quality standards. In response, Pillsbury chose to act swiftly to protect its reputation. General Mills pulled one specific product code of the pie crust from military distribution to prevent further issues, showing its commitment to maintaining quality. Pillsbury's history with recalls goes back much further than its recent issues, stretching all the way to 1971. That year, the company was forced to recall its Farina cereal after glass particles were found in the product. The recall involved 27.5-ounce packages from a specific lot code, which had been inadvertently contaminated during processing at Pillsbury's Springfield, Illinois plant. The glass had come from a shattered shield in the manufacturing process, which occurred in November 1970. While the recall was a significant setback, it had an unexpected silver lining. In the years leading up to this incident, Pillsbury had been working with the U.S. government to create specialized food products for astronauts, ensuring that they would remain safe from foodborne illnesses while in space. Despite the glass contamination, the company's reputation with the government remained intact. The close call prompted Pillsbury's director of research to speak at the 1971 National Conference on Food Protection. In 1972, the company took further steps to improve food safety by launching training programs for FDA investigators. These efforts help popularize the Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Points (HACCP) system, which is still a key part of food safety protocols today.